As the villainess, I tormented the male lead when we were little. That malicious villainess loved to bully the male lead when he was small, and I transmigrated right into that very moment. I'd dump out his baby formula, snatch his snacks, and even tear up the love letters he received. To think a 2 or 3-year-old kid could be so monstrous. I thought it was perfect, there was no turning back. The male lead suddenly grabbed a love letter I'd written for someone else, asking awkwardly, "So, you and I aren't innocent, are we?" I froze, rooted to the spot. "It's a misunderstanding, dude." After I died, I transmigrated into a novel. I looked at my chubby, delicate hands. Silently, I turned to glance at the male lead beside me, who had just wet his pants. Okay, silence X2. Before transmigrating, I was always a well-behaved, quiet, and introverted girl in everyone's eyes. I never imagined I'd play the role of a villain. I'd never even bullied a kid before. The system urged me, if the host doesn't want to be eliminated, complete the mission quickly. Perhaps seeing me squirm so much, it added, if you can't bring yourself to do it, another host will complete the mission. I glanced at the progress bar. My life value was 1. Without a moment's hesitation, I raised my hand and knocked over Ethan's milk bottle. He wailed. There was no mission completion notification in my head. With my short, stubby legs, I waddled over to the remaining box of formula, opened the lid, and dumped all of it onto the floor. Bullying a kid isn't so hard, is it? His portion of food completely ruined, Ethan couldn't hold back anymore. He let out a shriek, then cried inconsolably. Hearing the commotion, the adults rushed over, horrified to see the messy nursery. Everyone gaped. I squeezed out a few tears, just about to escalate my act, when Ethan suddenly lunged at me, biting hard into my wrist with all the strength he'd mustered since breastfeeding. I screamed in pain. "Ethan, you just wait." Ding, congratulations, host, mission completed. Life value increased by 2. The little system was surprised and delighted, praising me. "Host, you have great potential. This is your first mission, and you completed it so quickly and smoothly." I looked at my bandaged wrist and sighed quietly. Ethan's mother, Mrs. Sam, brought fruits to my house to express her gratitude. This time, we're so lucky to have Lily. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that formula had expired. We've already reported it to the police. That wicked nanny will be punished. What a cliched novel. Despite being the male lead, Ethan had a miserable childhood where anyone could bully him. This was also to pave the way for the female lead to later save and warm his heart. His parents were busy with business, so Ethan stayed with the nanny every day. Who knew the nanny was a cruel person? Not only did she treat the mansion like her own home, taking whatever she pleased, but she also abused Ethan. Beating, scolding, and starving him were commonplace. That's why he reacted so strongly when I poured out his formula. He was standing at the door now, eyes wide, skin smooth and smelling of milk, long eyelashes. I mentally clicked my tongue twice. Looking at that small face with red lips and white teeth, I wondered how many girls he'd charm when he grew up. A thought flashed in my mind. He's so adorable like this, I really want to bully him until he cries again. The little system weakly interjected, "Even a pervert like me thinks you're a pervert." I'd forgotten I had a stepchild system by my side now. At this moment, Mrs. Sam led Ethan closer to me. "Come on, dear, say thank you to your sister." "Thank you," Ethan mumbled reluctantly, 2 small words. Because of my past life, pretending to be clever had become my protective mask. I gave Mrs. Sam a perfect, adorable smile. "It's nothing, Auntie. Ethan is my little brother. Taking care of him is a sister's responsibility." Oh, what a sweet talker. How can Lily be so sensible? Mrs. Sam hugged me tightly, unwilling to let go. I stretched out my chubby hands, deliberately acting cute. "I like Auntie very much. I want Auntie to hug me." Perhaps due to his personality and infrequent meetings, Ethan wasn't very close to his parents. My intentional closeness happened to make Mrs. Sam's maternal love overflow. Ethan clenched his small fists, frowning, just like a grumpy old man. It seems he's not entirely indifferent after all. His mouth says one thing, but he thinks another. I wrapped my arms around Mrs. Sam's neck, deliberately mouthing to Ethan, "Nya, your mom doesn't need you anymore." He was still just a child after all. Ethan was provoked to tears by me, sobbing pitifully. At this moment, a ding sounded in my head. "Congratulations, host, you have completed the mission to steal the male lead's maternal love. gained 2 life points. Hearing his cries, Mrs. Sam panicked and quickly picked him up, holding him to her chest. "Ethan, darling, don't cry." Ethan, having regained his mother, looked like a triumphant rooster, eyes and nose red, still provoking me. "Mommy is mine." I pursed my lips, silent. "This is the first time I've seen a mission like this," the little system said, intrigued. "Did you do that on purpose just now?" To mend their relationship, I didn't answer but asked back, "Guess." "Ethan, help me copy my homework." "Do it yourself. Stop talking nonsense. You're in my house, so you have to listen to me." I snatched Ethan's homework without ceremony. In the end, he could only let me take it. After the wicked nanny incident, Mrs. Sam stayed home for several years to care for Ethan. After he started elementary school, problems arose in Mrs. Sam's family business, and she had no choice but to go assist. So, I discussed with my mother to have Ethan come to our house for meals every day, giving us living expenses each month. Being neighbors for many years, my mother agreed without a second thought. Conveniently, Ethan and I were in the same class. To make things easier, my mother later let him move in. For me, living together made completing missions much easier. Over the years, I'd constantly sought trouble and bullied Ethan. It had become a habit. My life value had also smoothly increased to 80. When it reached 100, I could escape the system and survive in this world. Thinking of that day, my mood soared. It was just that the little system hadn't assigned me a new mission in a long time. I really missed it. While deep in thought, a asterisk ding sounded. Mission, host, complete the mission to disrupt the male lead's social life. Disrupt social life? Ethan had a solitary personality, a cold and unapproachable demeanor. Even if someone wanted to make friends, they were scared away by his coldness. He didn't have many true friends, only a few acquaintances on the basketball team. Coincidentally, there was a basketball game that afternoon. I pondered how I could prevent Ethan from participating in the game. Should I just break his leg? The little system weakly piped up, "The most venomous thing is a woman's heart." I ignored it, grabbing a cup of water, intending to go downstairs for hot water. As I reached the stair landing, someone bumped into me. The cup fell, and the hot water splashed onto my thigh. Fortunately, someone next to me caught me, otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. "I'm so sorry, are you okay?" The girl looked at me, flustered, sounding on the verge of tears. I wanted to say I was fine, but a pained, "Ah, it hurts," escaped my lips. I'll take you to the infirmary," she said, trying to help me up. A gust of wind blew past, and I was already in Ethan's arms. He was still in his basketball uniform, forehead dotted with sweat. He looked like he'd rushed here. "Aren't you playing basketball?" "I'll take you to the infirmary." Ethan said nothing, carrying me bridal style and rushed to the infirmary. Along the way, we met his teammates who had chased after us. One of them was breathless. "Yon, the game's about to start." "I'm not going. Let someone else take my place," Ethan said in a stern voice without looking back. At this moment, the sound of mission completion rang in my head. I gently patted Ethan's head. "All right, just leave me here. You go play your game. The doctor can handle it." Who knew he'd be like a fixed needle in the sea, standing there, refusing to leave. Ethan had grown up so fast. Now I had to crane my neck to see his face. His expression was gloomy and he wasn't speaking. Just looking at him made my mood drop. My heart pounded erratically as I met his deep, dark eyes. It's not good to ditch them. I tried to persuade him further, but he gave me a cold glance and I didn't dare speak. His gaze was truly terrifying. So this was the aura of a male lead when he grew up. His aura was even stronger. A small, timid person like me couldn't avoid seeing him every day, especially since I was the wicked villainess who'd bullied him since childhood. I had to carefully consider which direction to run when the time came. "What are you thinking? Running away? Where are you planning to run off to?" The surrounding atmosphere inexplicably dropped. I shivered, weakly changing my words. "Nowhere to run away to." As the atmosphere grew tense, a gentle voice broke the silence. "Hello, I'm Nina from class 13. I'm so sorry I accidentally scalded you just now. Are you okay?" I hadn't even spoken when the little system, appearing from who knows where, excitedly chirped, "Ah, the female lead has appeared. The plot is about to unfold. Host, go for it. Play matchmaker." "This isn't difficult," I said, rubbing my hands with a hint of excitement. You're right. The little system interrupted me. Please re-examine your identity, host. You must become an obstacle in their love, disrupt their sweet romance, and become a white lotus caught in all sorts of melodramatic misunderstandings. Good grief, I asked helplessly. For example, new mission, within one day, force a kiss on the male lead to make the female lead misunderstand. I couldn't help but grit my teeth. Do you think this is something anyone can do? The little system feigned death. Seriously, I haven't even been in a relationship in 2 lifetimes, and now you want me to give my first kiss? What kind of rotten system is this? I heard that. The little system weakly poked its head out. Seeing that my mood wasn't dangerously low, it went offline for a few seconds. Complaining or not, the mission still had to be done. This wasn't the first time this annoying little system had broadened my horizons. I'd been doing missions for so long, I couldn't give up now. Throughout the day, during class, I couldn't concentrate. My eyes kept unconsciously drifting to Ethan's lips. They do look like they'd be nice to kiss, but thoughts were just thoughts. I didn't have the guts to do it. Frustrated, I scribbled on a piece of scratch paper. Suddenly, an idea sparked. I pulled out my phone and secretly took a picture of Ethan. It only said, "Force a kiss." Not that I had to do it with a real person. What if I accidentally let Nina see a picture of me kissing Ethan? Wouldn't that work? Although it sounded a little perverted, at least it would get me through one mission. It was better than letting Ethan know my ulterior motives. Finding a solution, my mood improved significantly. I ran to find the female lead, Nina. I finally found her in the small grove, the legendary, sacred spot of the school for couples. Ethan was also there. I couldn't help but sigh at the power of the plot. Before my leg was scalded, I had once seen Nina and Ethan appear together. I hid not far away, secretly watching. The atmosphere between them wasn't bad at all. Nina fidgeted with her fingers, her face flushed. It was clearly the nervous, shy demeanor of a schoolgirl facing the person she liked. Plus, she was very beautiful. Double the charm. Who wouldn't be smitten? I didn't know what they were talking about, but I saw Ethan accept a pink envelope love letter. They worked fast. Seeing them separate, I, the wicked villainess, immediately entered the scene. I stopped Nina, preparing to perform my act on the spot. As a result of my rush, I tripped over a tree root protruding from the ground. Just as I thought I was about to kiss the dirt, Ethan appeared out of nowhere and grabbed me. Ethan and I tumbled to the ground. My teeth hit his collarbone. All 3 of us panicked at once. I was mortified. You, system, what the heck? Oh my, helping you scream? The little system munched on sunflower seeds, completely absorbed in watching the show. I cried tears in my heart. A supporting character really is a supporting character. Such a classic plot point, and I still couldn't kiss the male lead. Amazing. The little system continued to hang up as if nothing happened. Host, friendly reminder, mission time is running out. Ethan, with me on top of him, had red ears and a flustered look in his eyes. After a moment, seeing no movement from me, he couldn't help but gently push me away, trying to help me up first. Not thinking much, I aimed for those lips and bit down. After that day, Ethan and I didn't speak to each other for several days. Even if we accidentally saw each other, we immediately looked away. My actions then had been a bit aggressive, and I could still taste blood in my mouth. I always felt that light touch from then still lingered on my lips. I blushed, shaking my head. Stop thinking about it. It's so embarrassing. Who has a first kiss like mine, as if they wanted to eat the other person whole? After the incident in the grove, Nina looked at me much more than before. Every time I caught her intense gaze fixed on me, I felt goosebumps all over my body. But at least the mission was completed successfully. I'd thrown a wrench into their relationship. The bell rang. I unhurriedly packed my bag and headed home. As expected, Ethan wasn't there again. He didn't say anything, but I knew he was with Nina. Under the setting sun, I slowly walked home. As I passed the basketball court, a basketball, as if it had eyes, precisely hit the back of my head, the back of the wicked villainess's head, which was also my asterisk head. I cursed it under my breath, then blacked out. When I woke up, I was in the school infirmary. The school doctor saw me regain consciousness and smiled. "Little student, we meet again. You seem to be having some bad luck recently, huh? Tell me about it. Maybe this is the result of not having a protagonist's halo." "I'm sorry," the voice sounded familiar. I looked over at the tall male student in front of me. He had a look of remorse on his face, standing awkwardly to the side like a primary school student who'd made a mistake. I secretly assessed him. Not only his voice, but his appearance also seemed a little familiar. I remember now. When Ethan carried me to the infirmary, he was that teammate who called Ethan to the game. "Are you okay?" The tall male student waved his hand in front of my face. I snapped back to reality. "I'm fine." "My name is Lucas Liu. I accidentally hit you with the ball just now." He seemed to sigh with relief, then took out his QR code to add contact information. "If you feel unwell, come find me anytime. I'll take responsibility." Lucas Liu, isn't this the second male lead, the devoted one in the book, Ethan's love rival? My eyes suddenly lit up. Finally, I have an ally who can cause trouble for the male and female leads together. "Okay, if anything comes up, I'll contact you." I took his hand, looking at him with fiery eyes. At this moment, a bone-chilling sound came from outside the door. "What are you two doing?" Lucas and I simultaneously turned our heads. The newcomers were Nina and Ethan. Ethan's expression was even more unsightly than Nina's. For some reason, I felt a surge of panic in my heart. My hands began to tremble. Wait a minute, that's not right. I looked closely again. Lucas and I were still holding hands. The one trembling was Lucas. Ethan angrily walked in, pulling my hand and Lucas's hand apart. Finally, Lucas and I were like baby chicks being carried away. He carefully followed behind Nina, while I was pressed onto the back seat of Ethan's bicycle. At first, I felt uneasy, but seeing Nina there, I took advantage of the situation and pretended to be weak. I hugged Ethan's waist tightly, secretly glancing at Nina provocatively. Unexpectedly, Nina showed a sparkling, starry-eyed gaze. I felt strange in my heart. Looking closely again, she glanced at Lucas, then looked back at me, an admiring look in her eyes. This is right. I felt relieved, a little smug. It seems becoming an obstacle in their relationship isn't too hard after all. Back home, Ethan's anger still hadn't subsided. For the first time, he was angry with me, ordering me in a serious, cold voice, "You are not allowed to date early." My emotions were mixed. If I didn't know he only saw me as a sister, and yet had such a strong possessive streak, I would have thought more into it. I know, my mood was a little low. Over the years, growing up together, Ethan and I had argued and fought countless times. I always won. Plus, I was proud to have lived one lifetime longer than this little radish head, and with the system's support until now, I was the only one who bullied him. I never expected him to start lecturing me now. I looked up at him. That's right, Ethan is taller now and has his own emotions. While I was lost in thought, the little system quietly came online. "Host, please complete the mission. Sabotage the female lead's confession." I nodded sadly. Then I reacted. Nina already gave him a love letter, didn't she? Didn't she already confess? What's there to stop? I stealthily snuck into Ethan's bedroom. His room was simple and tidy. A single glance revealed everything. I just quickly scanned it. Sure enough, on his desk, I saw the familiar pink envelope. He placed it in such an obvious spot, it seemed Ethan really trusted me. Normally, I couldn't enter his bedroom alone. After all, we were grown up now, and there was a difference between male and female. We had to avoid gossip. However, special circumstances called for unusual methods. I told myself, I'm not exactly a gentleman anyway. The little system's voice softly sounded. "Host, I suggest you don't be so crude. Even I can't write in the observation log anymore." I knew about this observation log. The little system would record the mission status of each host and give appropriate evaluations. At that time, it also had to report to God. When I found out about this, I felt ecstatic. Even the system couldn't escape the mundane task of keeping a work diary. Over the years, the evaluations the little system gave me had gradually changed. I snorted. "Before, you said I wasn't clever enough. Now you're saying I'm crude. Your feelings for me have faded, haven't they? It's okay, I won't be the only one losing face. When you report to God, you'll also lose face." The little system silently turned off its mic, refusing to speak. I picked up the envelope with a cheerful mood. Great, it hasn't been read yet, still in time. Creak, the door opened. Ethan had just finished showering and came out of the bathroom, wiping his hair. Water droplets on his hair competed to fall, while other droplets gathered together, slowly soaking into the towel along his muscles. This image of a handsome guy fresh out of the shower stunned me. Seeing Ethan frozen, I immediately grabbed some clothes and put them on. I blushed and turned away, my heart thumping like thunder. Looking down, I saw the love letter I had crumpled. "It's over, I'm caught red-handed. No arguing my way out of this now." Ethan started to say something, his eyes falling on my hand, and he immediately fell silent. My heart pounded with fear, looking at his unreadable eyes. I suddenly felt even more panicked. I took the lead and spoke first. "HMPH, what are you looking at? Didn't you lecture me earlier about not dating early? As your sister, shouldn't you set an example first?" I thought my words made sense, so I wasn't afraid anymore, speaking boldly. "This is confiscated." He stopped me. "Wait, this isn't me." How could I listen? I don't know why, but seeing him treasure this love letter suddenly made me very angry. When emotions surged, actions were faster than thoughts. By the time I regained my senses, the love letter had been torn into shreds. Realizing it belatedly, I felt very awkward. "I'm sorry." My aggressive demeanor suddenly dwindled. It was as if I had been possessed tonight. Ethan looked at the shredded paper with complex eyes. There was a hint of joy in his eyes, but he also seemed at a loss. My mind reeled, unable to distinguish the complicated emotions in his eyes. I fled like the wind, as if chased by a ghost. I gave Ethan the silent treatment. Every time he came near, I ran away. Luckily, he was very busy during this time, often nowhere to be seen in class. I heard he and Nina were going to participate in some competition together. I didn't listen closely, but it was true they were always together recently. They chatted and laughed, and their relationship even seemed to be getting better. I felt bitter inside, always feeling like a clown performing these missions. Thinking about it, it wasn't wrong. Because I was just a supporting character in the story. No matter how much I jumped around, the male lead and female lead would always end up together. I was just a tool to advance the plot. At this moment, another tool male student, Lucas, and I sighed simultaneously. "What are you sighing about?" Lucas looked a bit embarrassed. "Nothing." Looking at his small expression, I couldn't sit idly by. It was clear he was suffering from lovesickness. And wasn't it about Nina? I told myself I couldn't do this alone. This tool person also had to be used. "What kind of gifts do girls like, do you think?" the person opposite me suddenly asked. I said indifferently, "Who do you want to give it to?" Lucas stammered, unable to speak. I couldn't help but give him a hint. "As long as it comes from the heart. Otherwise, why don't you make a handmade cake?" If I remembered correctly, the book said that the first time Ethan made a birthday cake and gift for Nina himself. Lucas pondered. When the after-school bell rang, I stopped Lucas and said, "I want to go to the east side of the city to buy some textbooks. It's on your way, so come with me." I led him to a place in my memory. Lucas had just reminded me that in the original novel, a week before Nina's birthday, her gambling father, who had just been released from prison, harassed her for money and almost dragged her away to be sold. Fortunately, the male lead arrived in time. It was precisely because of this incident that Nina's feelings for Ethan grew stronger. This time, I had to lead the devoted second male lead to snatch that opportunity. I ran nonstop, but still, we were a little late. When we rushed into the dark alley, we just saw the gambling father dragging Nina. He looked fierce, his mouth full of vulgarities. Lucas, enraged, punched Nina's father in the face. The two men wrestled. I pulled Nina aside and called the police. In the end, it was Ethan who picked me up at the police station. His eyes were cold, and I couldn't help but wince. The electronic sound of the little system echoed. "Congratulations, host. You have completed the mission to snatch the male lead's hero saving the beauty moment. Life value increased by 3. I inwardly cheered. My life value had increased, but now I felt my own little life was in danger. Just now at the police station, Ethan pulled me aside and examined me, gritting his teeth. "Lily, you're getting bolder, aren't you?" I pursed my lips, saying nothing. The next second, he hugged me tightly. "Don't do it again. Don't make me worry." I touched my heart. It was beating very fast. I felt sick. Ethan and I made up. No matter how busy he was, he always waited for me to go to school and come home together. I wasn't allowed to act alone. Otherwise, he would tell my mother. I muttered in dissatisfaction, "Are you a child? Since childhood, you only have this one trick of telling our parents." "As long as it works," he refuted my objection. At this moment, the little system cautiously began to announce a mission. "Host, please write a love letter to the male lead." This isn't right. Why do I have to write a love letter? I questioned the system's mission. The little system lazily explained, you just need to say whether you'll do it or not. They must have a reason for arranging it like this. Thinking this, I began to write a love letter. As a wicked villainess, the female lead's love rival, Nina, had also written a confession letter. How could I be left behind? My damned competitive spirit. However, I still had to adhere to the principle of causing trouble for the male and female lead's relationship. I had to make Nina feel threatened by a love rival. Ethan's personality was a bit cold, but it couldn't hide his handsome appearance. Young girls pursued him relentlessly, and love letters often filled his locker. But after I tore up that pink love letter last time, the next day at the flag ceremony, he stood on stage and addressed the entire school. Ethan spoke seriously and profoundly about how dangerous early dating was, and at the same time, publicly declared that he would no longer accept love letters. If he saw them, he would directly hand them over to the homeroom teacher. His eyes were firm, showing strong conviction, as if believing in our party. I couldn't help but look at Nina. Sure enough, she was looking deep in thought. Everyone, being students, hearing that letters would be handed to the homeroom teacher, was mostly scared off from their romantic notions. But there were still some girls who weren't deterred. Knowing that Ethan and I lived close by, they trusted me to inquire about him. They even paid me to help write love letters. Of course, at that time I refused. This time, not only did I have to help write a love letter, but I also had to pretend to accidentally let Nina see it, intending to make her jealous. Who knew she would give me a thumbs up and an encouraging look? This isn't right. My heart thumped. Did she realize I wrote it? Is she confident that even if I give it to Ethan, he'll just throw it away? Just as I was about to proceed with the next step, Ethan returned. I had to go back to my seat first, but from the corner of my eye, I secretly watched his movements. I saw him pick up the envelope, narrowing his eyes. Just when I thought he would throw it away as usual, he put it away. Congratulations, host. Mission to write a love letter completed. Life value increased. Ah, it was good that my mission was completed. I suppressed that strange incident in my mind. After class, Ethan dragged me to the small grove. He held up the love letter I wrote today, his ears red, awkwardly saying, I knew you weren't innocent with me. No, I'm not. Don't talk nonsense. I wildly shook my head, denying it 3 times. Ethan's eyes darkened. This wasn't written by me. I tried to argue. He chuckled softly. Sister, you don't think if you write with your left hand, I won't recognize your handwriting, do you? I wrote it for someone else. Ethan's eyes showed a flicker of pain. He looked into my eyes, speaking seriously. Lily, whether you wrote this letter or not, I'm taking it seriously. I like you. I don't know what you're running away from, always treating me hot and cold. You have feelings for me too, don't you? Don't run away this time. I was a bit confused. How did it turn into this? I opened my mouth. After a while, I asked in a hoarse, incredulous voice, Why do you like me? He rubbed my head, recalling, It's been a long time. Every time you started to protect me, I fell deeper and deeper. I don't know when I started to like you. When I looked back, you were already in my heart. I clearly did bad things and bullied him. Does Ethan like being tormented? I suspiciously glanced at him. For example, when I was little, there was a period when I was chubby and had cavities. You supervised my weight loss every day and confiscated my candy. When I was young, I didn't understand, but later I realized you did it for my own good. My mom even specifically went to your house to thank you, didn't she? I weakly mumbled, No, that was just me wanting to steal your snacks. He added, When I was 7, I got into a fight with a few kids, 5 against 1. You clearly could have run away, but you still ran to save me. In the end, you got kicked and were in pain for days. I remembered that incident. Indeed, a child's body is very fragile and weak, so I had to lie in bed for several days. But actually, at that time, I had to complete the mission of bullying the male lead. Children's fights have no rules. I just wanted to use the chaos to sneak in and kick Ethan's leg. As a result, I accidentally fell. In the end, he still saved me. I felt like I wasn't some kind of good person, yet from Ethan's perspective, I had disregarded my own well-being to save him. What a terrible misunderstanding. And that time, I quickly interrupted him. Enough, no need to say more. The little system appeared out of nowhere, listening with interest as Ethan recalled the past. I gritted my teeth. Still watching the show, are you? What should I do now? Agree to him? The little system wasn't flustered at all. Seeing my silence, it asked again, "Don't you like Ethan?" I remained silent. After all these years of companionship, watching him grow up step by step, become a young man I admired, those feelings of fondness had long merged into the ordinary small things. It was just that I didn't dare to admit it. Because I didn't have the protagonist's halo, I didn't dare to gamble. I didn't like it when Ethan got close to Nina. I felt bitter when I saw him treasure the love letter she wrote, but I didn't dare to say, "I like you." Didn't dare to reciprocate the boy in front of me who was still patiently waiting for my answer. I couldn't help but ask the little system in my head, "Has my mission failed now? How much time do I have left?" The little system cleared its throat. "Hello, I am the newly appointed love system, number 3. You're not the villainous system." It sneered. "Temporary job adjustment, you know? We have to absorb and learn to simulate human work. We systems also need to change positions." "I'm afraid it's not just a temporary adjustment, is it?" I narrowed my eyes, my tone becoming dangerous. I regained my clarity. No wonder the mission notifications were getting weirder and weirder. The little system guiltily reminded me, "Host, I suggest you worry about yourself first." Before the electronic voice finished speaking, my lips were suddenly covered by something soft. Ethan's unique breath enveloped me, our breathing intertwined. After the kiss, both of us were gasping for air. My brain was deprived of oxygen, feeling dizzy. Did we just kiss? Sorry, I couldn't resist. After the deep kiss, Ethan's voice was low and sensual. My legs felt like they were turning to jelly. "Ding, congratulations, host. You have completed the mission to capture the male lead's heart. Life value increased by 3. The little system was a bit agitated. "The final mission is to accept the male lead's confession." I give up on the mission. "Why, little system, why are you so anxious? This is clearly the last mission. The accumulated life points from your previous missions still count," I asked. "We've been playing this game for so long, it has to end, doesn't it?" It was silent. I turned my gaze to Ethan. "This world is fake. Everything that happened is fake, isn't it?" He stared at me, the anticipation in his eyes gone, the smile on his lips also vanished. The little system no longer hid it, asking, "When did you find out?" I frowned, so it really was fake. "Host, you tricked me," the little system said incredulously. I smiled cunningly. "You're allowed to trick me, but I'm not allowed to trick you, huh?" Ethan suddenly hugged me tightly, as if afraid I would disappear. "Sister, why are you so clever? It's clear I know what he wants to say. It's clear they tried their best to restore this world, just one last step, yet I want to expose all of this. I don't want to live in this fictional world forever." He opened his mouth, asking with difficulty, "You regained your memory." I didn't want to lie to him, not even a little. As for how I discovered this world was fake, it was probably because the plot was wrong. If I guessed correctly, my transmigration into the book was real, and the little system was also real. It was just that something happened, so everyone got together to create a new small world within the book. Ethan nodded. "I have memories of the original book." "Even if you deliberately pretended to be unfamiliar with me, your eyes, in unguarded moments, still revealed you. Here, Nina and Lucas are like NPCs. Nina is clearly your girlfriend, but she likes Lucas. On the day Nina was harassed by her father, you didn't even appear." The little system was surprised. "So, it was because the plot revealed a loophole." I continued. "In the original work, this was a crucial turning point for the male and female leads to have a deeper emotional change. Although I thought about bringing Lucas to cut off that crucial turning point, I intentionally walked a little slower. It was very strange, as if you deliberately waited for Lucas to appear first. You must have been sure that everything would happen as you wished, so you directly came to the police station to pick me up. It sounds like a complaint, but there was no urgency because you knew I would be fine. This was the last piece of evidence for me to confirm. There were many details that I had overlooked before. Yes, you guessed right. I didn't think to save others. I did it on purpose." Ethan sighed deeply. "In this small world, Nina likes Lucas. The love letter she gave me earlier, the one you tore up, was the one she asked me to deliver. So I was jealous for nothing. If Nina likes Lucas, then everything that happened in that small world makes perfect sense. I continued to speculate. As for why they wanted to create this small world, it wasn't hard to guess. I died, didn't I? He said nothing, just tightened his embrace. His whole body was trembling. I guessed correctly. As for why I died, that was also easy to guess. I went against the plot. I was a supporting character, but I liked the male lead. The plot didn't allow it. I didn't have the protagonist's halo, I was just a minor character, insignificant. I gently patted his back, comforting him. It's okay. This small world was actually a novel written by Ethan, based on our story, with the help of the little system. I was brought in to complete missions. The truth wasn't much different from what I had speculated. It was just that in Ethan's original world, his childhood was even more miserable. His parents' marriage only existed in name, the family was indifferent. Every year during Lunar New Year, he couldn't even see his parents once. The wicked nanny abused and starved him. His body was covered in needle marks, and he was even force-fed sleeping pills. When I transmigrated into this world, he no longer smiled. It was hard to imagine a child only a few years old having such gloomy eyes. He seemed to have detached himself from the world. I was the same. As the little system said, if I couldn't bring myself to do it, another host would continue these missions. I just needed to follow the plot and play my role well. At first, I treated this world like a survival game. The people I met were all paper figures without emotions. Interfering was useless. From beginning to end, they would always follow the plot to their predetermined ending. I had once tried to save my father from this world. I acted cute and spoiled to make him go for a health checkup earlier, but then a car accident unexpectedly took him away. I didn't realize at the time that this NPC was offline. I was a little sad, but could only accept it. After that, I often spaced out. I observed the young male lead living next door from my balcony. He was very quiet, very focused. Initially, he looked at me cautiously. Then, he gradually curved the corners of his mouth. I knew he was smiling, showing kindness to me. I had planned to remain a normal observer until one day, Ethan put a nearly melted candy into my hand, saying in a sweet, childish voice, asking me to eat it. It must have been his most precious possession at the time. I thought I must save him. According to the plot, he would later be saved by the female lead. But an unfortunate person would have to spend their entire life healing their childhood. Even if he met someone better when he grew up, the trauma he suffered was like a nail hammered into a wall. When pulled out, it would still leave holes. Looking at him, I saw myself in my previous life. Instead of saying I was saving Ethan, it was more like I was saving my own unhappy childhood in my previous life. My parents despised me, favoring sons over daughters. I could only pretend to be well-behaved to receive a little tolerance. Therefore, I began to devise ways to both complete the mission and help him as much as possible. Day after day, when did my feelings change? I couldn't say if it was one beautiful sunny day or the day he wore a white shirt that I liked. When the little system wasn't around, sometimes I would space out, thinking about things from my previous life, things from when I transmigrated. Was it all just a dream? But I belonged here. Here, I had a loving mother, adorable classmates, and good friends. They were flesh and blood people with emotions. I immersed myself in it. Ethan and I were childhood sweethearts, growing up together, arguing loudly, and even intimately hugging and kissing. Until Nina appeared, I forcefully changed the plot, just like the little system created this small world a second time. But the plot discovered I was an exception. It wanted to forcibly eliminate me. The small car crashed through the barrier, and I, along with the car, sank into the water. Ethan desperately wanted to save me, but even the main character couldn't act freely. He forcibly kept me alive. I should have died in that accident, but now I was in a vegetative state, lying silently in a hospital bed. I looked at myself lying there, a feeling both unfamiliar and familiar. I asked the little system, "I'm like this and the mission failed. Aren't you bound to me? Why aren't you going back?" "I forced it," Ethan explained. "I always knew you had a secret and it was related to me. It didn't want me to destroy this world, so it appeared." I nodded. "So that's how it is." The little system suddenly spoke. "I wasn't forced. I did it voluntarily." "Why?" It said, "Because we are friends." "Friends," I mumbled, a little surprised. It seemed very happy. This is what my previous host said to me. She said, "We were friends. I am data. All my emotions come from databases. We have very strong learning capabilities. From 1, we can infer 3. We have developed to a high level. We can even transmit data across time and space. But there's one thing we cannot learn, and that is feelings. Human emotions are very complex, constantly changing with circumstances, personal experiences, and current state. We cannot find any method to accurately analyze and study them. I suddenly understood. So, this is why you need to keep an observation log. That's right. After God discovered this, he instructed us to collect emotional information from each host to create a human emotion observation log. The little system was silent for a few seconds. At first, I observed you. Your whole body was filled with melancholic emotions. But in the end, your emotions fluctuated greatly, as if you transformed from a puppet into a real human being. I pursed my lips. It wasn't wrong on this point. The cause of all these changes was Ethan. Later, you fell in love with him? Ethan's eyes looked at me intensely. After leaving the small world, I was now a spirit, as if he could see through me, inside and out. I said, yes. This time, there was no evasion. Looking into the eyes of the boy I liked, it was true. I like Ethan. Can you tell me why? The little system was a bit puzzled. According to your human theory, survival is the most basic need. You could clearly choose to complete the mission and gain a new life in this world. Currently, there's also a popular explanation called blind love. So, are you in blind love? I laughed. Perhaps. If you chose me as your host, you must know my situation in my previous life. I was unwelcome from birth, always left behind. I could only behave well to receive a little tolerance from others. I had never been loved, so I wanted to try loving myself. As I just said, instead of saying I saved Ethan, it's more like I saved my own childhood. As for blind love, I pondered for a moment. Nowadays, people are more rational, they know how to love themselves better. Losing self-respect to like someone unworthy or becoming a trash for anger is certainly not welcomed. However, we cannot, because of the current fast food style of love, deny the existence of true love. Fast food love comes unexpectedly and leaves just as quickly. We just chat a few times, eat a few meals together, watch a few movies, and the relationship quickly shifts from acquaintance to dating. But in the end, they quickly close the relationship with a phrase like, I'm tired, we're not compatible. I think love is sacred. Dying for love is not an ancient legend. The little system seemed to be deep in thought. I understand. My previous host also gave up the chance of immortality to stay in that world for the person she loved. Was it you who helped her? Yes, you are indeed very clever, the little system praised me. I once deleted a part of the data, which was related to that world, but then God returned it to me. Congratulations, you have discovered the secret of feelings and leveled up again. I slowly turned to look at Ethan. He stood silently to the side. His body was just too thin. I felt a pang of heartache. However, a failed mission was a failed mission. If I chose to insist on doing things my own way, choosing to forcibly change the plot, then I had to accept the consequences. Humans always pay a price for their choices. The person in front of me seemed to know what I was about to say, his eyes red and silently weeping. Why are you still crying so much, just like when you were little? I joked to lighten the mood, but my own face was also soaked with tears. Opening my mouth again, my voice trembled, unable to form words. Ethan, let me go. Ethan turned his face away, not looking at me. From crying silently to crying loudly, this life was something I picked up. I'm very happy that I could like you. I have no regrets. I raised my wrist. These tooth marks are from when you were little. If there's an afterlife, remember to come find me. I don't want to be half alive, half dead like this. Let go. The hospital room was eerily silent, only faint sobs like an old man nearing his end. My hands trembled, only pressing the switch on the third try. I smiled and said goodbye, but tears kept falling. Thank you. Extra story, Systems POV. My host, Lily, was cold yet sincere, timid yet brave. As Observation System 3, I wrote down my final evaluation and submitted the human emotion observation log from this world to God. I felt something strange in my heart. It was a feeling I had never experienced before. An hour later, host Lily passed away. Ethan committed suicide beside her. At that moment, I felt like I had a bug. My thoughts were chaotic, unable to process the current data. Even now, I'm still in a daze. In human terms, that feeling is called sadness. I am a block of data. I have no name, only a serial number, 3. Like other systems, I assist hosts in entering different worlds to complete missions, collecting data through observing the host's emotional changes and refining the database. My first host was named Lynn. She had a cheerful and lively personality, always calling me my antique. We were a perfect partnership, but she said we were friends. The word friends was very common in the database, with explanations of its meaning, but I was a system. I didn't understand what friendship was. Later, for a man named Cody, she decided to stay in that world. We had worked together for a long time. To be honest, it was the first time I saw her disregard herself for another person. When she was with Cody, there was always a light in her eyes. When they were apart, she was like a lifeless puppet. Lynn once left that world for 3 years. In her mind, it was just a matter of opening and closing her eyes, but she didn't know that the memory of those 3 years of punishment had been erased by God. 3 years later, Lynn was sent back to that world. I asked God why. He didn't answer me. 3 years later, Lynn changed her name and appearance, but Cody still recognized her at first sight. Perhaps this is what humans call deep love. Some say she was in blind love, giving up her life for what she called love. I also asked her. Lynn said that eternal life was not a reward, but a punishment. This thing was honey to her, but arsenic to others. What people care about differs. She longed to experience it intensely, rather than repeating life like a stagnant puddle. Some people die in their teens, while others aren't buried until they're 70. That's the principle. Life is but one. How one lives it is their own business. Why should others meddle? I do something with passion and dedication. In everyone's eyes, it looks crazy, unbelievable, sick in the head, but I feel it's worth it. Not even gold can buy my happiness, she said with a mischievous wink. Most people never meet true love in their lives. Lynn met it. How lucky to experience it. Even if I die immediately, this is the most beautiful ending for me. Not just love, but friendship, family, affection too. Love and friendship have no natural blood connection. Meeting pure affection, sincere emotions, is even rarer. Most people might never encounter it in their entire lives. Nowadays, everyone lives alone in a fast food style of life, so there's no reason to ridicule those with soulmates or truly sincere emotional companions. I still remember that time Lynn pointed to the free-flying clouds in the sky and said, "Look, that's what I want. They must envy me, right?" I think this is what Lily meant. Dying for love is not an ancient legend. I greatly admire my last 2 hosts because they knew how they wanted to live. They were both steadfast and courageous. The memory of Lynn's mission was once erased by God. He didn't like unexpected occurrences that deviated from the sequence. Later, I realized I was willing to accept punishment for Lynn to reset the data. I think perhaps from that moment on, I began to discover the mysteries of human emotions. God asked me, "Was it worth it?" I said, "I don't know if it was worth it. By the time I thought about it, I had already done it." He was silent, but I felt a surging emotion called joy. Because on the electronic screen behind, Lily and Ethan had been brought into a new world. I knew that God was also moved by human emotions. I had another mission. I just hoped I could get along well with my new host. System 3, wholeheartedly at your service.